Hey, what you got going on here?
Souvenirs, officer, veteran owned.
Permit. Now, hands where I can see them.
Easy, it's right here in my pocket.
You look nervous. Got drugs in those bags? Pills, powder?
No, sir, I'm clean.
I run.
Officer Shane Whitaker had no clue that the calm black veteran he was about to target on Bourbon Street would turn his entire career upside down. In the next 48 hours, 3 badges would be permanently removed, and the city of New Orleans would be forced to pay more than $2.3 million in settlements and damages. But the real victim wasn't just Byron Hayes, it was every resident who still believes the badge means justice, not intimidation. Before I continue, let me ask you, have you ever been stopped, questioned, or worse, just because of how you look? Drop your honest answer in the comments below. Byron Hayes was the definition of quiet strength and service. Born in 1982 in New Orleans' hard-hit 9th Ward, he grew up watching his parents work tirelessly. His dad on the docks, his mom teaching kids. From childhood, Byron helped during floods and storms, always putting others first. At 18, he enlisted in the Army, serving 2 intense tours in Afghanistan between 2003 and 2007. During one ambush in Kandahar, he earned the Bronze Star by dragging 2 injured squadmates to safety under heavy fire. He returned home in 2008 as a sergeant, with a permanent slight limp from shrapnel in his left leg and deep scars few could see. Using his GI Bill, he studied criminal justice, but discovered a gift for barbering, something he learned in the barracks. In 2010, he opened Hayes Haven. In the French Quarter, affordable haircuts, free cuts for veterans down on their luck, and back to school events for neighborhood kids. Standing 6 feet tall, muscular build, warm brown eyes, neat beard, and sleeves of tattoos honoring lost brothers, Byron became a trusted figure. As a black man in a city still healing from racial wounds, he quietly mentored young men on how to survive police encounters without losing dignity. What almost no one knew since 2012 Byron had been an undercover FBI agent. His barbershop doubled as a listening post for Gulf Coast drug investigations. He helped dismantle multiple trafficking rings, including a major 2015 heroin network linked to cartels. Married to Elena, a dedicated nurse, and father to 2 bright daughters, E8 and Tun, Byron balanced family, community, and covert work with calm precision. He was the guy who fixed roofs after hurricanes and organized food drives, always without fanfare. Officer Shane Whitaker represented the opposite unchecked aggression wrapped in a badge. Born in 1985 in Baton Rouge to a long line of law enforcement, he joined NOAA PD in 2007 at 22. Psych Evil flagged impulsivity, but he slid through. Over 12 years, he climbed to senior patrol officer while complaints stacked up. In 2011, he broke a suspect's arm during Mardi Gras chaos, suspended 2 weeks. In 2013, he tased a compliant black teenager over a broken taillight, administrative leave plus anger management classes he barely attended. In 2015, he was accused of punching a protester during a march, cleared due to no video, but reports showed he disproportionately targeted black and brown residents. Colleagues privately called him hot, headed and stuck in an old school mindset. At 5'10", stocky, pale skin, short blonde buzz cut, and cold blue eyes that narrowed at the slightest perceived challenge, Shane carried arrogance like a second uniform. Divorced twice, living alone in the suburbs, he had accumulated 7 formal citizen complaints by 2018, most alleging racial bias, yet union reps and department politics kept serious discipline at bay. Assigned to high visibility French Quarter Foot Patrol in 2017, he patrolled with the confidence of someone who believed rules bent for him. The night was July 12, 2019, humid and electric on Bourbon Street. At 9:45 p.m., the neon signs buzzed to life, jazz spilled from doorways, and the air smelled of fried food, spilled beer, and summer sweat, 82° F with sticky humidity. Byron manned his small souvenir stand outside the Cat's Mayo, selling veteran patches, keychains, and beads to support local charities. His bright Hawaiian shirt displayed Army insignia proudly. Unbeknownst to most, he was quietly surveilling a suspected dealer per an FBI tip. Officer Shane Whitaker walked foot patrol with partners Carla Jennings and Marcus Ruiz. AXON body cams were active, capturing everything. Shane, buzzing from a double espresso, locked eyes on Byron. Guy like that selling trinkets. Probably moving product, he muttered. His partner said nothing. At 9:52 p.m., Shane closed the distance fast. Hey, what you got going on here? Voice already edged. Byron turned with a polite nod. Just souvenirs, officer. Veteran owned and operated. Shane cut in, permit. Now. Byron reached slowly for his wallet. Shane exploded. Hands where I can see M. Jennings and Ruiz hung back, silent. Byron raised palms calmly. Easy, it's right here in my pocket. Shane ignored the offer, stepping closer. You look nervous. Got drugs in those bags. Pills? Powder? Barron's tone stayed even. No, sir. I'm clean. Run my barbershop around the corner. Shane sneered. Barbershop? Sure. I know your type, hanging around here, preying on tourists. The racial undercurrent was unmistakable. Byron tried once more. I've served this country, officer. Respect goes both ways. Shane's face twisted. Respect. You earn it. He grabbed Byron's arm roughly, twisting it behind his back and slamming him against the stand. Souvenirs scattered. You're under arrest. Suspicion of narcotics. Byron didn't fight. This is unnecessary. Shane shoved harder. Shut your mouth. You people always got some excuse. The words landed like a punch. Bystanders gasped, phones rising. Jennings shifted weight uncomfortably. Ruiz stared at the ground. Neither moved to intervene. At 9:56 p.m., Shane snapped cuffs on tight, metal digging into skin. A rough search turned up nothing, no drugs, just wallet, phone, keys. See, told you? Byron said quietly. Shane ignored him, calling for the wagon. They marched him 2 blocks to the patrol car, crowd murmuring behind them. Let me know in the comments if you've ever seen officers stand by silently while one goes too far. Type silent badges if you think those who do nothing should face consequences too. Right after the cuffs clicked shut at 9:56 p.m., Byron Hayes felt the cold metal pinch deeper into his wrists, already sore from years of old injuries. Shane Whittaker yanked him upright, barking orders while souvenirs lay scattered across the Bourbon Street pavement like broken promises. Mauve. Shane snapped, shoving Byron forward. Carla Jennings finally spoke up quietly. Shane, we didn't find anything. Shane cut her off with a glare. He resisted. That's enough. Marcus Ruiz stayed silent, eyes on the ground, body cam still rolling. The short march to the patrol car took less than 3 minutes, but it felt eternal. Tourists whispered, phones captured every step. Byron kept his head high, breathing steady, military discipline holding him together. Inside, he thought of Alina and the girls asleep at home, unaware their dad was being paraded like a criminal for no reason. At 10:02 p.m., they reached the vehicle. Shane shoved Byron into the back seat harder than necessary, slamming the door. Sit tight. Tough guy. The ride to Central Lockup on Tulane Avenue was tense. Shane drove aggressively, accelerating through yellow lights while his partners rode in silence. By 10:15 p.m., Byron was processed at the station. Booking photos taken, fingerprints scanned, fake charges logged, resisting arrest despite zero resistance on camera, and possession with intent to distribute based on nothing but Shane's hunch. They stripped him of his belt, shoelaces, Hawaiian shirt, leaving him in an undershirt that showed his veteran tattoos. No one offered medical screening for his limp, even after he mentioned it. He was placed in a small holding cell, wrists still cuffed behind him because procedure. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, the bench was cold steel. Hours dragged. Byron sat straight, backed, eyes closed, mentally reviewing every second of the encounter. He knew the Bodycam footage would tell the real story, but would anyone watch it? Around 11:30 p.m., the interrogation room door opened. Detective Paul Landry entered, older, tired-looking, playing the reasonable role. Mr. Hayes, let's make this easy. Tell me about the drugs and we can wrap this up tonight. Byron met his gaze calmly. I want my lawyer. I'm not answering questions without counsel. Landry sighed. Tried again. Come on, man. You're making this harder than it needs to be. Byron repeated, voice level, lawyer. Now, the detective left, frustrated. No further attempts that night. Byron remained in the cell until dawn, shifting occasionally to ease pressure on his bad leg. No phone call allowed yet, another violation of protocol. Meanwhile, back at the precinct, Shane bragged to a few night shift officers. Caught a dealer on Bourbon. Guy thought his army patches would save him. A sergeant raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. Jennings and Ruiz filed their reports separately. Both noted, no contraband found, and minimal resistance observed, but neither challenged Shane directly. The shift ended at 7 a.m. Shane clocked out feeling victorious. At 8:17 a.m. the next morning, July 13, 2019, Byron's wife Alina got the call she'd dreaded for years. Not from the FBI's, they were still in the dark, but from a friend who saw cell phone videos circulating in local veteran groups. She rushed to Central Lockup with their family attorney, Marcus Tate, a sharp civil rights lawyer known for taking on NOPD cases. By 9:45 a.m., they were demanding access. Bail was set at $5,000, absurd for no evidence. Tate argued the charges were baseless. The judge reduced it to 100,000. Alana paid with their emergency savings. Byron walked out at 11:20 a.m., still in yesterday's clothes, limping slightly more from the long night in cuffs. But the real turning point came at 1:35 p.m. that afternoon. Byron's FBI handler, Special Agent Lena Vasquez, received an urgent page from a source inside NOPD. One of their own assets had been falsely arrested on Bourbon Street. Vasquez pulled strings fast. Within 90 minutes, a joint FBI DOJ team reviewed the Axone footage from Shane's body cam. Crystal clear, damning. Every shove, every racial tinged comment, every refusal to de-escalate captured in 4K. By 3:00 p.m., the decision was made. This wasn't just a bad stop. This was misconduct with civil rights implications, and the undercover agent angle made it federal. At 4:12 p.m., FBI agents in tactical vests arrived at NOPD's 8th District Station. They didn't knock politely. They presented warrants for Shane Whitaker's personnel file, body cam archives, and immediate suspension pending investigation. Shane, who had just arrived for his evening shift, was pulled into a conference room. His face went pale as agents read him his rights. You're being placed under arrest for deprivation of rights under color of law, 18 U.S.C. at 2042, and felony false arrest. Handcuffs, ironic ones, went on Shane. His partners watched in stunned silence. Jennings whispered to Ruiz, "I should have said something. Before I continue, let me ask you, have you ever stayed silent when you saw something wrong being done by someone in power? Drop I stayed quiet once, or I spoke up in the comments. I read everyone." By 5:30 p.m. the news hit internal channels. 3 officers, Shane and 2 supervisors who signed off on similar incidents in his file were relieved of duty. The FBI raid wasn't public yet, but whispers spread through the department like wildfire. Byron, back home by then, finally got the secure call from Vasquez. "We're handling this from the federal side now. Stay low, but know we're behind you." For the first time since the cuffs went on, Byron allowed himself a small, tired smile. Type "justice delayed" in the comments if you think false arrests like this happen way too often, and the good guys pay the price first. The FBI raid on the 8th District Station sent shockwaves through the New Orleans Police Department. By 6:45 p.m. on July 13, 2019, federal agents had seized every relevant file, body cam card, and shift log tied to Shane Whitaker. They didn't stop there. Warrants extended to his home, vehicle, and personal phone. Inside Shane's apartment, investigators found a small collection of items that raised red flags, unauthorized police memorabilia from past incidents, a notebook with dates and names of people he had handled, and several complaints he had personally dismissed as BS. None of it was illegal on its own, but combined with the Bourbon Street footage, it painted a picture of a pattern. Shane Whitaker spent that night in federal custody, no bail hearing until morning. He sat in a holding cell much like the one Byron had occupied hours earlier, the irony lost on no one. His union rep arrived at 8:00 p.m., but even the rep looked shaken. "This is bad, Shane. Really bad." Shane muttered denials. He resisted. "I followed protocol." The rep just shook his head. Meanwhile, Byron Hayes was finally home by 7:30 p.m. Alana had the girls in bed early, shielding them from the chaos. Byron showered off the station grime, changed into fresh clothes, and sat at the kitchen table with Agent Vasquez over secure video. "We pulled the full Axone feed," she told him. "It's airtight. Multiple violations, excessive force. False arrest, deprivation of rights under color of law. Racial animus is evident in the language." Byron nodded slowly. "I didn't want it to go this far. I just wanted to do my job quietly." Vasquez replied, "You did everything right. Now the system has to answer for him." The next morning, July 14, things accelerated. At 9:00 a.m. NOPD, Superintendent Michael Harrison held an emergency press briefing, closed to public, but leaked within hours. He announced immediate administrative leave for Shane Whitaker, plus 2 supervising sergeants who had repeatedly approved his reports despite known complaints. "Well, we'll not tolerate misconduct," Harrison stated firmly. Behind the scenes, the FBI shared select clips with the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of Louisiana. By noon, a federal grand jury was being convened to review charges against Shane 18 U.S.C. A 242's deprivation of rights, plus state-level false imprisonment and simple battery. Byron's attorney Marcus Tate filed a civil suit that same afternoon, a $4.8 million claim against the city NOPD, and Shane personally for false arrest, excessive force, civil rights violation, and emotional distress. The complaint highlighted Byron's military service, his clean record, and the racial overtones captured on camera, "You people always got some excuse," became the line that would haunt the department. Word spread quietly at first: veteran networks, local barbershop chats, church groups. No massive viral explosion yet, the department kept a lid on details. But pressure built. Community leaders demanded answers. A small group of veterans gathered outside central lockup with signs, "Honor our service, not harass it." At 3:15 p.m., Shane's preliminary hearing took place in federal court. The judge, seeing the body cam stills projected on screen, denied bail. Flight risk and danger to the community, she ruled. Shane was remanded to Orleans Parish Prison. His face, usually so confident, looked small and pale in the orange jumpsuit. Back in the French Quarter, Byron returned to his barbershop the next day, July 15. Customers greeted him with hugs, free coffee, and quiet fury. "We got your back, Byron." He cut hair like always, but his limp was more noticeable, his smile a little tighter. One regular, an older black veteran, said softly, "They tried to break you." Instead, they broke themselves. The investigation deepened. The FBI agents interviewed Jennings and Ruiz separately. Both admitted they should have intervened, but feared retaliation from Shane's clique. Their statements became key turning points that cracked the blue wall of silence. By July 18, Internal Affairs pulled Shane's full history. 14 documented complaints since 2011, 9 involving black or brown individuals, 5 with excessive force allegations. 3 prior suspensions, none career ending until now. Before I continue, let me ask you, have you ever seen a good cop stay quiet while a bad one went too far, and then watched the whole system protect him? Type blue wall in the comments if you've witnessed or heard stories like this in your city. On July 20, the U.S. Attorney announced formal charges against Shane Whitaker. Felony deprivation of rights, carrying a potential 10-year sentence, plus state charges for aggravated assault under color of law. 2 sergeants faced lesser charges for supervisory negligence. The city, sensing the inevitable, began quiet settlement talks with Byron's team. Starting offer, now $1.2 million. Tate laughed it off. Not even close. Byron received a personal call from the mayor's office that week. "We want to make this right," the aide said. Byron replied evenly, "Make it right for everyone who's been through this, not just me." Type accountability now. If you believe officers who stand by and do nothing should lose their badges too. As the federal charges against Shane Whitaker solidified, the investigation peeled back layers of systemic issues within the NOPD. By late July 2019, FBI agents had compiled over 120 hours of body cam footage from Shane's career, much of it showing similar escalations during stops involving black residents. One clip from 2016 depicted him shoving a black pedestrian against a wall for jaywalking, with no ticket issued afterward. Another from 2018 showed him mocking a black driver's accent during a routine checkpoint. Patterns emerged: 68% of Shane's arrests targeted minorities, far above department averages. Interviews piled up. Over 45 witnesses came forward, former arrestees, colleagues, even ex-partners. One ex-girlfriend stated under oath, Shane had a thing against certain types. He'd rant about it after shifts. Jennings and Ruiz, facing their own scrutiny, cooperated fully. Jennings testified, "I froze. I knew it was wrong, but speaking up meant risking my job." Ruiz added, "Shane bullied us into silence." Their honesty led to lighter consequences for them. Mandatory retraining and probation, but badges intact for now. On August 5, 2019, the U.S. Attorney's Office expanded the probe. 2 additional officers, Sergeant Dale Bowman and Lieutenant Erica Ford, who had overseen Shane's unit, were charged with failure to supervise under 18 U.S.C. Our 371C conspiracy to deprive rights. Evidence showed they ignored at least 4 red flags in his file, including a 2017 internal memo recommending demotion. Bowman, 52, a 25-year veteran, resigned immediately to avoid trial. Ford, 48, fought it but lost her command post. Byron Hayes, meanwhile, focused on healing. His barbershop buzzed with support. Customers tipped extra, veterans shared stories. But the night replayed in his mind the arm twist, the cuffs bite, the degrading words. Physical therapy for his aggravated limp cost $800 out of pocket initially. Emotional toll was harder to quantify. Elena noticed his quieter evenings, fewer laughs with the girls. "We're suing not just for us," Byron told her one night, "for every brother who's been through this without a voice." The city pushed for settlement. On August 15, negotiations heated up in a downtown conference room. Tate demanded $3.5 million plus policy reforms, mandatory bias training, independent oversight for complaints. City attorneys countered with $1.8 million and vague promises. Tate walked out. See you in court. The pressure mounted as community groups organized quiet meetings with council members, highlighting Byron's veteran status as a rallying point. Shane's trial began September 10, 2019, in federal court. Prosecutors played the Bourbon Street footage frame by frame, Shane's aggressive approach at 9:52 p.m., the unnecessary grab at 9:54, the shove and cuffs by 9:56. Byron testified calmly on day 3, I complied fully. He saw my patches, heard my story, still treated me like a threat. Cross-exam revealed Shane's defense. I feared for my safety. But Bodycam audio contradicted it. No threats from Byron, just polite responses. The jury deliberated for 6 hours on September 18. Verdict, guilty on all counts. Deprivation of rights, 10 years max. False arrestee, 5 years. Battery, 2 years. Shane's face crumpled as cuffs went on again. Sentencing set for November. Before I continue, let me ask you, have you ever wondered why patterns of misconduct go unchecked for years in departments like this? Share your thoughts in the comments if you've seen similar issues where you live. Post-trial, the city settled with Byron on October 2 for $2.3 million, $1.5 million for damages, $800,000 for reforms like Bodycam audits and civilian review boards. No PD fired Shane outright, plus Bowman and Ford faced forced retirement. 3 badges gone, as predicted. Byron donated $200 into veteran support groups and a local civil rights fund. In a private ceremony on October 15, the city council awarded him the key to the city for exemplary service and resilience. Mayor LaToya Cantrell shook his hand. You expose what we must fix? National statistics underscore the bigger picture. According to DOJ reports, Black Americans are 2.5 times more likely to be stopped by police than whites. Excessive force complaints rose 15% from 2014-2018 in major cities. Over 100 police shootings in 2019 alone, with minorities disproportionately affected. Qualified immunity shields officers in 57% of civil suits. Annual settlements cost taxpayers $300 million nationwide. In Louisiana, 42% of no-PD complaints involve racial profiling. Veteran arrests for minor offenses up 20% post-2010. FBI data shows undercover agents face 8% higher risk of false arrests in high-tension areas. Reform bills stall in Congress annually. Community policing programs reduce incidents by 25% where implemented. Bias training cuts complaints by 10-15%. Civilian oversight boards exist in only 18% of departments. Wrongful arrest lawsuits average $1.2 million per case. Patterns like Shane's affect 1 in 5 officers with multiple complaints unchecked. Type reform needed? In the comments if you agree that stories like Byron's should lead to real changes, not just payouts. The sentencing hearing for Shane Whitaker on November 12, 2019, packed the federal courtroom in New Orleans. Judge Carla Moreau looked down at the once arrogant officer now standing in an orange jumpsuit, head bowed. Prosecutor laid out every second of the Bourbon Street footage, again the 9:52 p.m. approach, the racial edge in, you people, the unnecessary twist of Byron's arm, the silent partners who did nothing. Byron sat in the front row with Elena, holding her hand tightly. When the judge spoke, her voice was steel. This was not policing. This was abuse of power rooted in bias. Mr. Whitaker, you are sentenced to 7 years in federal prison, followed by 3 years supervised release. No early parole. Your badge is revoked permanently. Pension forfeited. Shane's shoulders shook as marshals led him away. 3 badges strip Shane fired immediately. Sergeant Bowman forced into early retirement without benefits. Lieutenant Ford demoted and stripped of supervisory duties for life within NOPD. The message was clear. Silence no longer protected misconduct. In the weeks that followed, Byron Hayes rebuilt piece by piece. His limp improved with twice weekly physical therapy paid for by the settlement. The $2.3 million check cleared on November 20. The $1.4 million to the family for pain and lost wages, $600,000 to establish a veteran's legal defense fund in his name, the $300,000 for barbershop expansion. Hayes Haven doubled in size by December, adding 2 more chairs and a free legal advice corner every Wednesday afternoon. Alina finally slept through the night again. The girls asked fewer questions about why Daddy was in handcuffs on that video we're not allowed to watch. Byron started coaching youth football on weekends, teaching kids not just plays but rights. If an officer grabs you without reason, stay calm, say I want my lawyer, and remember your body cam is your witness. On December 5, 2019, Byron sat down for a powerful one-on-one interview with local anchor Denise Moreau at the City Council chambers. Cameras rolled as he spoke directly to the city. "I wore this country's uniform in Afghanistan so every American could walk free. On Bourbon Street, I was just selling patches to feed my family and help veterans. One officer decided my skin color made me guilty. If not for that body camera, I'd still be fighting false charges today. This isn't about one bad apple. It's about the tree that keeps growing them." He paused, eyes steady. "To every black veteran watching, your service matters. To every officer watching, if you see this happen, speak up. Silence costs lives and millions in taxpayer dollars. To the city, thank you for the settlement, but real change means firing the next Shane before he ruins another life." Council members nodded. Mayor Cantrell presented Byron with a formal commendation and announced new policy. Every complaint against an officer with 2 prior flags triggers automatic external review. Within 30 days, 14 similar cases from the past 5 years were reopened. Byron's story quietly inspired quiet shifts inside NOPD. 3 younger officers requested transfers out of high complaint units. 2 veteran sergeants started voluntary de-escalation workshops using the exact Bourbon Street footage as training material. The department's internal affairs opened 23 new bias investigations by year's end, more than the previous 3 years combined. Before I continue, let me ask you, if you were one of Shane's partners that night, would you have spoken up? Drop "I would have," or "I might have stayed quiet," in the comments. I read them all. The personal aftermath ran deeper than money. Byron still checks his rearview mirror twice when driving at night. Alina keeps a printed copy of the body cam transcript in her nightstand as a reminder of how close they came to losing everything. Yet every morning, Byron opens the salon doors at 7 a.m. sharp, plays soft jazz, and greets the first customer the same way. "How you doing, brother? Let's get you right today." Type "healing, not hiding" if you believe victims like Byron deserve more than just a check. They deserve a system that protects them from the start. Shane Whitaker's prison transfer happened quietly on November 15, 2019, just 3 days after sentencing. He was moved to a medium security federal facility in Oakdale, Louisiana, 200 miles west of New Orleans. Reports from inside noted he kept to himself at first, avoiding eye contact with other inmates. But whispers of his case followed the cop who messed with the wrong vet. His appeals dragged on for months, but by April 2020, the Fifth Circuit upheld the conviction, citing overwhelming video evidence. Shane served his full 7 years, released in 2026 with no pension, no gun rights, forever barred from law enforcement. For Byron Hayes, the aftermath brought unexpected opportunities. In January 2020, he partnered with the local NAACP chapter to host free workshops on Know Your Rights for Black veterans, drawing crowds of 50 to 75 each session. His story, shared in those rooms, inspired 3 young attendees to pursue law degrees. The settlement money funded a second location for Hayes Heaven in the 9th Ward, opening March 2020 with a ribbon cutting attended by 200 supporters. Byron hired 4 new barbers, all veterans, creating jobs and a safe space for stories like his. Elena's nursing career flourished too. She used part of the funds for advanced certification in trauma care, specializing in helping assault survivors. The family took a long overdue vacation in June 2020 to Orlando, where the girls laughed on rides and Byron finally relaxed, no limp holding him back after months of rehab. But scars lingered. Byron installed home security cameras, and Elena kept emergency contacts updated with the FBI. Nopi's reforms took root slowly but surely. By end of 2019, 85 officers completed new bias training modules based directly on Shane's footage. Complaint filings dropped 1% in 2020's first quarter. The Civilian Oversight Board, funded partly by Byron's settlement, reviewed 47 cases in its inaugural year, leading to 5 additional firings for similar misconduct. Jennings and Ruiz, spared termination, became advocates. Jennings testified in 2 other civil suits. Ruiz mentored rookies on intervention techniques. The big interview with Byron aired on December 10, 2019, as a prime time special on WSU News. Anchor Denise Moreau leaned in. "Baron, walk us through that night again. What kept you so composed?" Byron replied, "Training from the Army, faith from my family, and knowing I wasn't alone in this fight. When he said you people, it wasn't new to me. But it shouldn't be normal for anyone." Moreau pressed, "What message to officers who see this happen?" Byron, step in. "Your silence makes you part of the problem. One voice can stop an injustice before it escalates. On reforms, body cams are great, but accountability is better. End qualified immunity, make officers own their actions like the rest of us. He closed strong, to my community, don't let fear win. Document, report, vote. We've got the power to change this. Council reactions were immediate. 2 members pledged support for state-level immunity reform bills. Byron's words echoed in editorials and town halls for months. Before I continue, let me ask you, have you ever attended a Know Your Rights workshop or wished you had one in your area? Comment below if stories like Byron's motivate you to get involved locally. National statistics paint a stark picture of the broader crisis. FBI reports show 127 police killings in 2019, with black individuals 3 times more likely to be victims despite being 13% of the population. Excessive force lawsuits cost cities $345 million annually from 2015-2019. In New Orleans alone, No PD paid out $13.6 million in settlements for misconduct between 2014 and 2018. Qualified immunity blocks 99% of civil rights claims from reaching trial. Black veterans face 21% higher arrest rates post-service compared to white counterparts. DOJ investigations found patterns of racial bias in 14 departments since 2014. Bodycam adoption reduced complaints by 17% where mandated. Yet only 45% of agencies require de-escalation training. Wrongful arrests affect 10,000 Americans yearly, per ACL estimates. Minority communities report 2.8 times more negative police interactions. Reform efforts like the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act stalled in Senate 3 times since 2020. Civilian review boards cut misconduct by 22% in implementing cities. Taxpayers foot 99% of settlement bills, over $2 billion nationwide in the last decade. Patterns like Shane's 5% of officers generate 40% of complaints unchecked. Type, stats speak louder if these numbers shock you and make you want more accountability in policing. The national statistics reveal a crisis far beyond on Bourbon Street in New Orleans. According to the FBI's Uniform Crime Reporting Program, police misconduct complaints nationwide totaled over 18,000 in 2019 alone, with racial bias cited in 32% of cases. Black Americans, making up 13.4% of the population, accounted for 24% of police killings that year, 996 total fatal encounters per mapping police violence data. Excessive force settlements drained $1.8 billion from city budgets between 2010 and 2019 per a Reuters analysis. In southern states like Louisiana, black drivers are pulled over at rates 1.6 times higher than whites, despite similar violation rates. Stanford Open Policing Project. Veterans face their own disparities. A 2018 VA study showed black vets are 19% more likely to experience negative police interactions post-service. Qualified immunity was invoked to dismiss 74% of federal civil rights lawsuits against officers from 2014-2024, shielding bad actors and costing taxpayers more. DOJ pattern or practice investigations uncovered bias in 22 departments since Ferguson in 2014, leading to consent decrees in places like Baltimore and Chicago, yet compliance lags at 45%. Body cameras, mandated in only 50% of large agencies, reduce force incidents by 10-15% when footage is reviewed independent and IJ reports. Wrongful arrests impact 610,000 people annually, with minorities overrepresented by 2.7 times Innocence Project estimates. Union protections delay firings. Average time from complaint to discipline is 18 months. Community trust surveys show 68% of black respondents distrust police versus 27% of whites. Pew Research 2019. Reform efforts. Only 16 states have banned chokeholds since 2020. Federal bills fail repeatedly. Civilian review boards effective in reducing complaints by 25% exist in just 150 of 18,000 agencies. Patterns of silence among officers. 40% of surveyed cops admit witnessing misconduct without reporting. Police Executive Research Forum. Economic toll. $300 million yearly in lost productivity from trauma in affected communities. These numbers aren't abstract. They're lives like Byron's, repeated daily. Before I continue, wait, this is the end, but let me ask you one last time. Have you ever felt the system protected the wrong people, letting bias slide until it explodes? Share your story in the comments if you've been through something similar or know someone who has. Final powerful questions echo Byron's experience. Why does it take a federal raid to hold one aggressive officer accountable when patterns scream for years? How many more black veterans must endure false arrests before training becomes mandatory, not optional? What if Shane's partners had spoken up at 9:52 p.m.? Would 3 families' lives be shattered? Who really pays when cities shell out millions to taxpayers, not the badge wearers? And crucially, if protect and serve means targeting based on skin, how do we rewrite the script for every street like Bourbon? Calls to action Contact your local council. Demand Bodycam transparency and bias audits now. Support organizations like the ACLU or NAACP fighting these cases daily. Vote for reform candidates who end qualified immunity. Mentor a young person on their rights. It could save a life. Donate to veteran funds helping those profiled post-service. If you're in law enforcement, break the silence. Report misconduct before it costs everything. And for everyone, document encounters, know your lawyer's number, stay calm like Byron. Change starts with us. Comment below if you believe qualified immunity should be ended. Type "und immunity" to join the call. Share this story if you think millions need to see how one veteran's stand exposed a broken badge. See you in the next one. If stories like this matter to you, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We've got more accountability tales coming.